Hi everyone. Today I'm talking about the easiest way to stop blocking your creativity. This is a big topic. Anything to do with creativity and how to tune into it, how to access it, how to amp it up, how to stop blocking it. I get a lot of questions on this, and there's a lot of different things to say on this. However, there is one core thing that you can do and that you can really think about to start moving forward in this area if you feel like you're blocked. And I get this so much from the writers and artists I work with. So many of us are really waiting around for inspiration. And we've all had that experience where, maybe you're doing something that's not particularly creative, right? Like you're just sort of like doing some chores around the house, or you're driving in the car and you're listening to some music, and all of a sudden a big flash comes through and you see a scene or a character comes through, or you get an idea for a book or a series of books, right? There's really no telling, but it sort of feels like it drops in all at once. And so a lot of us are waiting for that to happen. And we wish it would happen more often, right? And that's why I think when you go online and you see so many articles about creativity, you'll see a lot of stuff about the flow state, like how to get into the flow state, what the flow state is, why you should be in the flow state. The flow state is great. I've been in the flow state before. I enjoy it. I think everyone enjoys the flow state. However, it's not really just that easy of a thing to drop into where you feel like, time has fallen away. I'm in this timeless space of expansion and anything's possible, and I've just gotten lost in my own creative world. We all wish that would happen all the time. We all want to be there as much as possible. But with the demands of day-to-day life, it's really not that realistic to think that getting into the flow state is something that you're going to be able to have happen every single day. So I think that happens a lot with people when they say they are waiting for inspiration, right? They're waiting for that flow state to come upon them. They're waiting for that lightning bolt to come out of the sky, and they have that great idea and they feel really excited about it and they feel really fired up about it. And that fire and that excitement carries us through, right? It carries us through the beginning, the starting of the project, and it feels so good. And so I think a lot of us, we're sort of like waiting for the unattainable to be attainable. And when that doesn't happen, then we're like, oh, there's something wrong with me, right? Like I'm creatively blocked. I don't know why I can't just be inspired when I need to be inspired. Okay, so how do we unblock our creativity? Like how do we actually open ourselves up to more of that, to that inspiration coming through, to that flow coming through us? The number one thing you can do, and this sounds really easy, I'll say that first, it sounds really easy, but it's actually really, really hard, is to stop asking yourself if you're doing it the right way. Now, this goes for writing, but this is also true of any other artistic or creative endeavor you are doing at all, right? Like painting or sculpture or dancing or gardening, right? Like anything you're doing that is really deeply creative and that has to do with self-expression that's coming from your heart and your soul that you're trying to share with the world. Stop asking yourself if you're doing it the right way. I say this from years and years and years of experience coaching writers. Every writer I've seen who's gotten stuck on a project, who's gotten tangled up in a story, and they feel like they can't go any further, and they're just paralyzed. They're paralyzed with perfectionism or procrastination, right? The two big P's, but there's a lot of other writing problems out there as well where they just feel confused and like they're going in circles and they're hitting dead ends all over the place. They're asking themselves if they're doing it the right way. Now, this can take many forms. This might mean you write the first chapter, like you have a great idea for a novel, you sit down, that, like I said, that fire, that excitement, it carries you through the beginning, you write that first chapter, and then you stop and pause, and you look at the chapter and you say, did I do this the right way? Which means, will other people like it? Will other people consider this a good first chapter in a novel? Will the opening paragraph sell the book? Will it make people want to read on, right? I'm not saying that you should never ask those questions, but 99% of those questions are questions that need to be asked way down the road, way down the road when we are on like the 7th or the 8th draft of that novel, right? When it's really become this fully put together story and we're in the polishing stages. That's when we want to start asking those types of questions. Not when we have just written the first chapter, we've written nothing else. Maybe we're not even sure how the story ends. Maybe we're not even sure of the middle of it. We're still waiting for the big pieces to come through. We're still waiting to uncover that information about how the whole story works. This can happen with memoir too. You might say, well, it's my memoir. I already know what happens. I lived it, right? Like I know the ending of this book. I've pictured it, the story in my head 1,000 times. I know the A, B, and C of the beginning, middle, and end. However, still asking that question, am I doing it the right way? It still has the power to block you, just as if you were writing a fictional story and you didn't know. Because when we ask that question, am I doing this the right way? And that question can take different forms. Am I on the right track? Does this look about right? Is this what it should be, right? No matter what form it takes, it's the same question. Am I doing this the right way? When we ask that question, that's when we begin interacting with our own anxiety. That's when we start evaluating and measuring ourselves according to what we think other people might want, what we think is expected of us, maybe our past failures, right? We might trigger memories of like, well, I did it this way before and it didn't work out, or, I tried to do something like that before and it was a total disaster. So maybe we're bringing past experiences that didn't go well into the present, and now we are not really in the present moment anymore with the work. We are going on what happened before. We're going off an old script, right? We're going off old limiting beliefs that maybe don't fit the situation we are in now. However we're doing it, we are now in the territory with anxiety, right? Am I doing it the right way? Because the flip side to that question is, if I'm not doing it the right way, maybe I'm doing it the wrong way, right? Like maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm stupid, maybe I'm a bad writer, maybe nobody will want to read this. And then those questions start coming in. And that's when the anxiety really kicks up. And now almost all of our energy is going into soothing the anxiety, negotiating the anxiety, dealing with the anxiety, because when anxiety comes up, it is such an uncomfortable feeling. And most people who are writers are highly sensitive and highly anxious. So we've had a long history with anxiety. We know how uncomfortable it is. And most of us have a lot of different coping mechanisms, some healthy, some not so healthy, to deal with anxiety. But a lot of those coping mechanisms come up when that anxiety comes up of, am I doing this the right way? Oh my God, maybe I'm not doing it the right way. Maybe I'm a bad writer and everyone's going to find out. Then come in the dysfunctional coping mechanisms, right? Distracting ourselves, numbing out, talking ourselves out of that idea. Well, maybe I should just switch projects, switching our energy all over the place, not being able to make decisions, or getting super hyper-focused on a tiny little detail, right? Like I've just written the first chapter, I've gone no farther, but now I'm really tunnel vision on that first sentence. And I don't feel like I can move on until I make it absolutely perfect and the best sentence that anyone's ever seen written in the history of the world, right? So you can see all of these places that we can really get stuck. And we're stuck because we're stuck reacting to anxiety. We have now disconnected from self-expression. We've disconnected from our own creativity. We've definitely disconnected from the flow state. The flow state is out the window. That is not happening because when you're in anxiety, you are not in the flow state. You are in the rational part of your brain that's problem solving. And if you're in an anxious place with it, it's not only problem solving or trying to problem solve, but it's doing so in a very frantic way. So you're overthinking, right? You're going in circles. You're thinking about the same things over and over and over again. You're repeating yourself. You're getting obsessive. The inner critic might come out and really start tearing you down. Maybe you're calling yourself names. Maybe you're beating yourself up. Like now your inner bully is in the mix, right? So you can see how like a whole can of worms has been opened up. There is no room for your creativity to come into this. There's no room for that voice inside you that's very vulnerable and that might be very scared and that really needs to be heard, the voice of your own self-expression. When you've got the inner critic and the bully and you're overthinking and you're totally anxious and you're trying to problem solve and you're asking all these nitpicky questions, it's not helpful. So what we want to do, we want to put that question down. Am I doing this the right way? Because the answer to that question, the true answer is we don't know. Number one, we don't know. There is no one out there who can tell you if you are doing it the right way. There are a ton of people who can tell you if they think that you are doing it the right way. But that's as far as you can go with it. You can find, a family or a family member or a friend who maybe reads that type of story. They enjoy romance or they enjoy young adult or whatever you're writing. And you can ask them, hey, what do you think of my first chapter? Am I doing it the right way, right? They can give you their opinion. It's just their opinion. Same thing with an expert, right? You could seek out a writing expert who has read 3,000 romance novels or 3,000 young adult novels, whatever it is, right? They really know the genre inside and out. They read your first chapter. They're still just going to be giving you their opinion, right? So no matter who you talk to, no matter whose advice you seek, it's just somebody who's telling you, well, I think this is the right way. And many, many different people have many, many different right ways. So that brings us to point number 2. There is no right way. There is no right way for you to express yourself except by being true to your own self-expression, right? So that means really looking at what is inside of you, really listening to what wants to come out of you, and being as true to that as you can. So with that first chapter, you write that first chapter in whatever way feels right to you, right? I see the character. She's on the subway. She's carrying an orange purse. There's something important inside of it. I don't know what it is, but I see that. That feels true to me. That feels right to me. I can really see her on that subway. I can really see her holding that orange purse. That's all I know for now. Right now, that's my first chapter. If you can write that first chapter and you can be true to what you see in your mind, to what you feel in your heart, to the voice of the character who's talking to you, if you can truthfully put that down on the page, then you are doing it the right way. Now, you're going to have to shut out everyone else's opinion for a little while. You don't have to shut it out forever. You can ask for advice, you can ask for feedback down the road, but during that first draft, you're going to keep it very private. You're going to keep it very close so that you can prevent yourself from asking that question, am I doing it the right way? So you don't trigger your own anxiety. Because when we stop asking, am I doing this the right way? We stop reacting to anxiety. Reacting to anxiety does not make for a good creative process. Responding in the moment to the truth that is coming through you, that does make for a good creative process. That is actually very helpful. Even if that truth is still vague or it's confusing or it's fragmented or you don't know what the whole thing looks like yet, you don't know where it's going, when you start responding in the moment, that's when you can open up to your own intuition, to your own creative guidance, to your own inner compass and say, it really doesn't matter what everyone else thinks. It doesn't matter if this expert or this family member or whoever says this is the right way to write a first chapter. This is my first chapter. This girl's on a subway. She's carrying an orange purse and there's something important inside of it. Chapter 1. That is my first chapter. That is the right way because that feels right to me because I know there's truth in that because I see her there. I feel her there. I know there's something in that purse. My intuition is telling me this is the way to go, right? So that's when we let go of that anxiety of, well, is this the right way? Should it be different? Should I add in this or this and this? And we stop reacting to what we think everyone else wants. If this topic is speaking to you, I do urge you to check out my new class coming soon. It's called Finding Your Writing Voice. We are going to be exploring all of this kind of stuff about writing. I work with so many writers who really feel blocked or cut off or disconnected from their writing voice, or they say, I don't even know what my writing voice is. I don't even really know what I sound like as a writer. I'm not sure. I've been trying to be this, or I've been trying to be that, or I've been hiding myself so long as a writer. I'm even scared to share anything that I don't really know who I am as a writer, and I don't really know what my writing voice sounds like. So that's what this new class is all about. We are going to be connecting to our own intuition, our own creative guidance, and our own creative voice, our own writing voice, and bringing what's inside of us, that huge ball of wax that is comprised of images and thoughts and feelings and ideas and so many things, especially for highly sensitive, intuitive people. We're going to be working with all of that and getting it on the page, in actual words so that we can express what's inside of us to other people on the planet, which seems like it should be simple, but is anything but. And if you're a writer, you know that. So if this is speaking to you, please check out my new class, Finding Your Writing Voice. It is a 3-week class. It's happening January 10th, January 17th, January 24th, 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. All classes are recorded. You don't have to come live. I'd love to see you there live, but you don't have to come live. You'll get all the recordings and have lifetime access to the recordings. Registration will open in just a few days. If you have questions, please email me, Lauren@laurensapala.com. I love answering questions, so please don't hold back. And I would love to see you in this new class.